Welcome to InfoHub. In our headlines, government is open to addressing the growing concerns of Guyana's youth. Sexual misconduct in schools will be investigated. Social activist calls on Guyanese to do more to fight rape. And Restaurant Week starts with an official visit. Stay tuned for the details of these and more.
Do you know what the national budget is?
The national budget is a public record of the government's financial plans. It identifies financial goals of the government and the amount of money needed to achieve those goals during a 12-month period.
The national budget also tells the story of how the country's resources are being used and whether our decision makers are securing a good future for all citizens. It also reveals what the government sees as priority.
As citizens, you may or may not agree with those priorities, but understanding what government's decisions and plans are for the year ahead will allow you to ask questions and hold the government accountable, as is your duty. The budget is everyone's business. Get involved now.
A message from the Ministry of Finance.
Now for the details. Government is open to addressing the growing concerns of Guyana's youth. More in this Alexis Rodney report.
Following a presentation by two youth ambassadors last Friday in the National Assembly, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu said he was honored to be part of an evolving system which allows the voices of the youth to be heard. Bishop's High School student Bibi Narima Khan and President's College Jeremy Fraser took the National Assembly through a body of proposals they said could transform the lives of every Guyanese child.
And it shows that we are here as a tribune, not generally of the people of Guyana, but of the young people of our country. They are the reasons why in our own young lives we have chosen the path of service.
The bishop's student called on the members of the National Assembly to continue to work toward improving Guyana's education system.
Specifically, we call attention to the need to continuously review, update, and revise the curriculum to ensure that it remains in consonance with the shifting economic pillars of our country.
Meanwhile, Fraser, a senior student of President's College, called for an improved approach to social cohesion, particularly in the need to reach children in the hinterland regions. He said it is hoped that the calls will be heard and interventions will be made to address the issues raised. Alexis Rodney for InfoHub.
Actions will be taken by the Ministry of Education to have matters of sexual misconduct investigated and dealt with accordingly. This question was raised in a recent interview with Subject Minister Nicolette Henry. Delicia Haynes has the details.
I know these things can get a little sensational at times, but the world in which we live, matters like that ought to be raised and ought to be dealt with very seriously and condignly, and that is the ministry's intention, to deal with the matter in the appropriate way, using existing and appropriate channels that exist.
Further, Minister Henry says, regardless of its nature, misconduct will not be tolerated, and all such reports will be investigated according to established procedures.
Anything that is considered outside of good discipline and good conduct will have to be dealt with seriously by the ministry, sexual or otherwise. And there are procedures to deal with these issues.
The question of sexual misconduct in schools was raised with the minister during an exclusive interview with the Department of Public Information following a formal complaint made against a teacher from the Bishop's High School. This complaint was submitted to the Chief Education Officer Marcel Hudson by Cultural Policy Advisor at the Education Ministry, Ruel Johnson, who has since called for, among other things, the teacher's suspension. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
With the proliferation of violence and rape, one social activist is adding her voice to the call for Guyanese to move beyond dialogue in raising awareness of these social ills. Social activists are intensifying conversations internationally and locally on sexual harassment, rape and violence in all its forms. Several rights activists have spoken publicly on the need to raise more awareness of these human rights violations. Dr. Raquel Thomas Caesar, a tropical forest ecologist by profession, is an avid human rights activist and member of the non-governmental organization Citizens Against Rape. During a recent interview with the InfoHub team, she shared her views on the rape culture and how it is linked to sexual harassment.
I find there's a lot of excuses from men and even some women about how women are treated when they walk down the road, or, you know, even in the office, some women experience, or many women actually experience sexual harassment.
Among her recommendations, Dr. Thomas Caesar set stringent measures at workplaces to deal with incidents of sexual harassment, changes in the legislation dealing with rape, more counselors at schools, community support groups, and awareness campaigns in all the regions, particularly far-flung areas.
We can't just mouth up like I do a lot on Facebook. We need to translate that into action. We can talk a lot, but we have to translate into action, and we need to get to our children, because I think that is the way of changing this culture. We need to get to our men. We need to get our men on board. We also need to listen to what men are saying.
Still ahead, Education Ministry takes PTA Town Hall meeting to New Amsterdam, and Go Invest joint venture seminar wraps up. Details after this.
Do you know what a national budget is?
The national budget is a public record of the government's financial plans. It identifies financial goals of the government and the amount of money needed to achieve those goals during a 12-month period.
The national budget also tells the story of how the country's resources are being used and whether our decision makers are securing a good future for all citizens. It also reveals what the government sees as priority.
As citizens, you may or may not agree with those priorities, but understanding what government's decisions and plans are for the year ahead will allow you to ask questions and hold the government accountable, as is your duty. The budget is everyone's business. Get involved now.
A message from the Ministry of Finance.
As part of upgrading of the education system, the ministry continued its parent-teacher town hall meetings yesterday in New Amsterdam, Berbice. Seneca Thorne has more.
The engagement, which was held at the Berbice High School, saw several issues being raised, including the need for more trained teachers, better environment for students, and the need to discontinue automatic promotions for students. Minister of Education Nicolette Henry, addressing the gathering, remarked that it is only through the collaboration of parents and the teachers that the improvements will be realized.
I'm happy for the questions that were raised. I recognize that you have to start someplace and that the longest journey started with a single step. The fact that you are here and that I'm here and I'm able to hear is in itself an opportunity, and it's rewarding to some extent.
Additionally, Minister Henry called on parents who are unable to raise concerns to make contact with their respective regional education officials.
I look forward to hearing from you. Perhaps you may have had questions that you did not raise. It's not too late. Even if you didn't raise it at this session, please seek out your regional officials and raise those questions. They're worth raising. The fact that you thought of it, you should address it and resolve it.
The town hall meeting, the third of its kind, is aimed at improving relations between teachers and parents to ensure the delivery of quality education across the nation. Seneca Thorne for InfoHub.
Mining in the area surrounding the Kaieteur National Park is of concern to the World Wildlife Fund Guyana, who recently recommended some best practices to protect the ecosystem and biodiversity in the park. Details from Delon Sanko.
Recently, the findings of a report were presented to the public, highlighting the dozens of new species of biodiversity discovered in the Kaieteur National Park. Biodiversity Officer at the World Wildlife Guyana Office, Julian Passad, noted that the freshwater contamination caused by mining in the areas surrounding the Kaieteur National Park can enter through the Patara River.
Implementing mining best practices, including taking some innovative steps to reduce or eliminate the use of mercury in gold mining, should be actively pursued. The incorporation of technology and most recent science should guide this, and it should happen at various stages, from land use planning all the way to surveillance. And this will help us to better deal with the challenges.
Passad called for collaborations between the government, the private sector, communities, and non-governmental agencies.
The development of alternative livelihoods should also be pursued and promoted. The options should be feasible for communities and must be fully developed all the way to markets.
The biodiversity officers also recommending that while tourism in the areas promoted and expanded, activities can be taken beyond the Kaieteur Falls, where surrounding communities can also benefit. A copy of the report can be downloaded from the WWF website. Delon Sanko for InfoHub.
Gabriela Patram now reports that the Guyana Office for Investment, Go Invest, concluded a two-day seminar that introduced local businesses to the establishment of joint ventures and strategic partnerships.
The Guyana Office for Investment Go Invest initiative was aimed at providing introductory information on approaches to evaluating and cultivating strategic partnerships among businesses in the marketplace. Chief Executive Officer Owen Verwey said,
"It's an awareness and initial training session on joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and alliances for businesses. There's been an asking in the market, mainly to our agency, Small Business Bureau, and many others, about various forms and various opportunities that may exist.
Verwey said the seminar will appraise businesses of the opportunities for partnership growth, particularly in view of the fact several new sectors are coming on stream.
More specifically with the emerging oil and gas sector, we know that local content is very important, so getting businesses prepared for that is very good. But we also have the mining industry, which is looking at syndicates. We've got the agricultural industry, which is looking at clusters. We've got many other opportunities in the services sector.
Additionally, Verwey noted that the forum discussed the methods persons can employ to increase their businesses on a larger level and increase their returns on investments and profitability. Gabriela Patram for InfoHub.
And finally, on InfoHub for Tuesday, our team caught up with Minister of Business with Responsibility for Tourism, Dominic Gaskin, and his wife as they took the opportunity to savor some Indian cuisine at the Agman's Indian restaurant as part of Restaurant Week. Restaurant Week is a 10-day extravaganza where participating restaurants offer exclusive menus at significantly reduced prices. It runs from November 17 to 26, 2017 and is one of the calendar activities in observance of Tourism Awareness Month. Some establishments will be offering lunch and dinner while some will just offer lunch or dinner only. Many restaurants will prepare menus that are not on their regular list of options, giving them the opportunity to create their best and to see what they can actually do with local ingredients and produce. The InfoUp team visited Agman's Indian restaurant on Sheriff Street, where we were lucky to meet up with Minister of Business with Responsibility for Tourism, Dominic Gaskin, and his wife, Hans Gaskin, as they treated themselves to some of the culinary delights on the lunch menu. Minister Gaskin encouraged Guyanese and tourists alike to take advantage of the opportunity to tantalize their taste buds with the diverse culinary delights from all over the world.
It's important for us to as a country that is promoting itself as a tourism destination, to show that it has a range of international cuisine available, because even though we love our own food and we're promoting our own food, not all visitors want to eat local food every day. They also look forward to, when they travel, to be able to sample food from all over the world.
The multi-course dining experience at Agman's starts at $2,000 per person for lunch and $5,000 for dinner. Complimentary welcome drinks are offered. Both lunch and dinner menus have some 8 dishes to choose from, along with appetizers and desserts. Other participating restaurants include Grand Coastal, OMG Restaurant, The Public, Shea Shea, among others. Thanks for watching. Connect with us 24/7 on our website and social media. Goodbye.